please.
Thanks very much, Madam Chair. Mr. Brennan, the 9/11 Commission report describes a canceled 1998 CIA operation to capture Osama bin Laden using tribal groups in Afghanistan. The former head of CIA's bin Laden unit told staff that you convinced Director Tennant to cancel that operation. He says that following a meeting you had in Riyadh with Director Tennant, the bin Laden unit chief, and others, that you cabled National Security Advisor Sandy Berger, saying the operation should be canceled in favor of a different approach described by the 9/11 Commission as a, quote, an all-out secret effort to persuade the Taliban to expel bin Laden. Now, as we know, bin Laden was not expelled. 3 months later, the bin Laden wrath was unleashed with the attack on our embassies. Did you advise Director Tennant and National Security Advisor Berger against this operation, and if so, why?
I had conversations with George Tenet at the time, but I must point out, Senator, that every single CIA manager, George Tenet, his deputy, the head of the Director of Operations at the time, and other individuals, the chief of the Counterterrorism Center, argued against that operation as well, because it was not well grounded in intelligence, and its chance of success were minimal, and it was likely that other individuals were going to be killed. And so when I was involved in those discussions, I provided the director and others my professional advice about whether or not I thought that that operation should go forward. I also was engaged in discussions with the Saudi government at the time, and encouraged certain actions to be taken so that we could put pressure on the Taliban as well as on bin Laden.
So I'm taking it that your answer to my question is you did advise against the, in favor of the cancellation of that operation.
I didn't, based on what I had known at the time, I didn't think that it was a worthwhile operation and it didn't have a chance of success.
Now, the 9/11 Commission reported that no capture plan before 9/11 ever again attained the same level of detail and preparation. Do you have any second thoughts about your recommendation to the director to cancel that operation?
Senator, I have no second thoughts whatsoever about my advice, which was to look carefully at this operation because the chances of success were minimal. I was not in the chain of command at that time. I was serving abroad as Chief of Station.
As Deputy Executive Director, you received the daily updates from the time of Abu Zubaydah's capture throughout his interrogation, including the analysis of the lawfulness of the techniques, putting you in a position to express any concerns you had about the program before any of the most controversial techniques, including waterboarding, were ever used. Now, we found a minimum of 50 memos in the documents within the 6,000 pages that, on which you were copied. What steps did you take to stop CIA from moving to these techniques you now say you found objectionable at the time?
I did not take steps to stop the CIA's use of those techniques. I was not in the chain of command of that program. I served as Deputy Executive Director at the time. I had responsibility for overseeing the management of the agency and all of its various functions, and I was aware of the program. I was CC'd on some of those documents, but I had no oversight of it. I wasn't involved in its creation. I had expressed my personal objections and views to my some agency colleagues about certain of those EITs, such as waterboarding, nudity, and others, where I professed my personal objections to it, but I did not try to stop it because it was something that was being done in a different part of the agency under the authority of others. And it was something that was directed by the administration at the time.
Now, you say you expressed your objection to other colleagues. Did you ever express any concern to Director Tennant, to John McLaughlin, Executive Director Krongard, or any other of the CI leaders?
I had a number of conversations with my agency colleagues on a broad range of issues during that period of time, not just on this program, other ones. We would have personal conversations on that.
Well, my reason particularly for naming those individuals, Mr. Brennan, is that they were the ones directly above you. Mr. McLaughlin's been quoted in the press as saying he never heard from you. He doesn't doubt that you did this, but he says he never heard from you. We just have not seen anybody who has come forward and said they ever heard any objections from you with respect to these programs. Moving on, Mr. Krongard, your boss at CIA told the Wall Street Journal that you had a role in setting the parameters of the program, and I quote, helping to seek Justice Department approval for the techniques. He went on to say that John would have been part and parcel of that process. How does that comport with your response to the committee that you played no role in the program's, and I quote again in your answers, creation, execution, or oversight?
I respectfully disagree with my former colleague, Buzzy Krongard. I was not involved in establishing the parameters of that program. I think in that same Wall Street Journal article, he goes on to say, in fact, that I was not involved in a lot of elements of that program. But I was not involved in the establishment of the program. Again, I had awareness that the agency was being asked to do this. I had awareness that the agency was going forward on it. I had some visibility into some of the activities there. But I was not part of any type of management structure or aware of most of the details.
That being the case, why would you be the recipient of a minimum of 50 emails, Mr. Brennan, on the progress of the interrogation of Abu Zubaydah, including the techniques used in that interrogation?
Senator, there's probably a standard email distribution. I was on thousands upon thousands of email distributions at Deputy Executive Director. I think I was just CC'd on them. I wasn't an action officer on it. I know of no action I took at the agency that in any way authorized or reprogrammed funds or anything along those lines.
Okay. Executive Director Krongard is said to have been an advocate of using Siri techniques. Did he discuss with you a proposal to move to Siri techniques with Abu Zubaydah, and if so, did you raise any objection?
I don't recall a conversation with Mr. Krongard about that particular issue.
When you reviewed the intelligence the CIA was getting on Abu Zubaydah after the use of EITs, did you think the information was valuable?
The reports that I was getting subsequent to that, and in the years after that, it was clearly my impression that there was valuable information that was coming out.
In a November 2007 interview, you said that information from the interrogation techniques, quote, saved lives, close quote. But you also say that CIA should be out of the detention business. The main benefit that I saw in CIA's program was the ability to hold and question individuals about whom there was significant intelligence that they were terrorists, but not necessarily evidence that could be used in a court of law. Your view seems to be that even if we could save American lives by detaining more terrorists using only traditional techniques, it would be better to kill them with a drone or let them go free rather than detain them. Can you explain the logic in that argument?
I respectfully disagree, Senator. I never believe it's better to kill a terrorist than to detain him. We want to detain as many terrorists as possible so we can elicit the intelligence from them in an appropriate manner so that we can disrupt follow-on terrorist attacks. So I'm a strong proponent of doing everything possible short of killing terrorists, bringing them to justice and getting that intelligence from them. I clearly had the impression, as you said, when I was quoted in 2007, that there was valuable intelligence that came out from those interrogation sessions. That's why I did say that they saved lives. I must tell you, Senator, that reading this report from the committee raises serious questions about the information that I was given at the time and the impression I had at that time. Now I have to determine what, based on that information as well as what CIA says, what the truth is. And at this point, Senator, I do not know what the truth is.
How many high-value targets have been captured during your service with the administration?
There have been a number of individuals who have been captured, arrested, detained, interrogated, debriefed, and put away by our partners overseas, which is we have given them the capacity now, we have provided them the intelligence. And unlike in the immediate aftermath of 9/11, when a lot of these countries were both unwilling and unable to do it, we have given them that opportunity. And so that's where we're working with our partners.
How many high-value targets have been arrested and detained, interrogated by the United States during your 4 years with the administration?
I'll be happy to get that information to you, Senator, in terms of those high-value targets that have been captured with U.S. intelligence support.
I submit to you the answer to that is one, and it's Warsame, who was put on a ship for 60 days and interrogated. Thank you.
Thank you very much.